Hi, I'm Douglas Estes, Associate Professor of Religion at New College of Florida.
I'm Uzi Baram, Professor Emeritus at New College of Florida, and this year working on a project for the Centennial of College Hall.
Great. So it's great for you to be here today. Great for us to have you. Tell us a little bit about your time at New College. You're a Professor Emeritus now, so you've been here a while.
I came to New College back in the late 1990s when we were part of the University of South Florida. And I spent my career here teaching cultural anthropology and archaeology and working on public archaeology and including heritage interpretation. When I first came to New College, my research interests were in the Eastern Mediterranean, where I was working on the late Islamic period, the period of time of the Ottoman Empire. It was a really productive line of research, unusual for its time. It allowed me to open up questions about commemorations, what's remembered, what's forgotten, what people focus on, what they don't focus on. We think about the sociopolitics of the past and what we now talk about really readily as heritage.
Okay, good. So what caused you to move from late Islamic period to Florida?
So my training was really broad. I had
Right.
my PhD as well as my MA and BA in anthropology, and all those degrees, all those programs really encourage kind of thinking broadly about the biological aspects of people, language, ethnographic research, participant observation, as well as the archaeology. And I've always had a particular interest in how the past fits into the present.
Right.
So I had worked across the eastern U.S.,
Right.
in New England, in New York, the Mid-Atlantic, as well as working in Israel, Cyprus, doing research in Greece, Turkey, and Egypt. So when I came here, I came to a very small college,
Right.
about 50 or so faculty members, maybe about 600 undergraduates. And I was asked to, and kind of willingly, teaching broadly. It actually fit my sense of why be a professor, teach anthropology, the
Right.
sense of the diversity of people. I didn't know much about Florida archaeology at the time. There was a couple of details I'd learned as a graduate student, but it wasn't a major focus. But I liked teaching in New College because the students were always really curious.
Right.
And I've been curious.
Right.
So I land here in Sarasota. Late 1990s, it was a much smaller town.
Yeah.
You don't even want to imagine.
Right. Yeah. I can't.
We did have an international airport, and we talked about the late 20th century. Right, we had dial-up modems. Right, the internet existed.
Right.
None of us had cell phones, and so I drove around. I looked for things, and I realized there actually was a lot here. As working in the Eastern Mediterranean became more difficult. One, the New College left the University of South Florida back in 2001.
Right.
And the college really didn't have funds.
Right.
My family was growing, and I've always been the active parent to
Right.
now 3 children who
Okay,
have grown
yeah.
into young adults. And also, I had this real sense that the students deserve the opportunity to do things locally.
Right.
Not just do what kind of is typical for archaeology,
Right.
go spend the summer somewhere.
Right.
But of course, if you have to spend the summer elsewhere, you have to have the resources to
Right.
do so, the wherewithal. And there's a disjuncture.
Right.
So even the students who did that, they would come back and I didn't really know what they were doing.
Right.
So with really some positive encouragement from some of my colleagues, started doing some local projects.
Okay.
I found community partners who were just ecstatic to work with New College, with a
Right.
faculty member, with the students. And the projects, frankly, got more and more interesting.
Right.
And what we call public archaeology. Back in 2008, we received funds for what's now the Public Archaeology Lab.
Okay.
I was the PI for those funds.
Yeah, right.
Built the building and built the program and was the founding director
Right.
until just a couple of years ago.
Right.
I was part of a just conversation among archaeologists and anthropologists. What does it mean to do public work?
Yeah.
What is public-facing research? And what I tried to do as innovations is not just talking to the public, but getting involved with community members,
Right.
community-based archaeology,
Right.
and getting students to go into Sarasota, Manatee,
Right.
meet people,
Right.
see what their interests are, and help reveal some of the past that was here.
Right.
And that ended up being wonderfully productive.
Right.
One of the projects I'm still involved with,
Right.
because even though I'm retired, I haven't stopped my research,
Right, sure.
is part of the Underground Railroad.
Oh, okay.
There's a community from the 1770s to 1821 on the Manatee River under what's now the streets of Bradenton.
Right, right.
The Angola Maroon community, now recognized by the National Park Service as part of the Underground Railroad.
Right.
I work and now am working with the descendants who live in the Bahamas, and we have an annual festival, a heritage celebration of the archaeological work that was done over at Philippia State Park, one of the county parks.
Right.
Did an interpretation of the grounds, including a mansion that was built in 1916.
Right, right.
And the students were able to do ethnographic research, going and seeing what people were doing at that park, how much they were paying attention to and not paying attention to the history that was there.
Right.
We did excavation, so they had excavation experience. We brought the materials to the public archaeology labs. They had experience doing analysis.
Right.
And in what was a 2-year program, then doing heritage interpretation at the park at a big public event where they could share that history in robust ways. And because New College has always been a small place, I know many of those students are now alums continuing to use those skill sets.
Right.
Some of them went into anthropology and archaeology. Most didn't.
Right.
But they still write to me
Right.
and share how those experiences help them in other endeavors in what's now decades-long work.
Right, right.
So as we were doing all this, I was able to kind of create methodologies for how to do community-based research, how to think about heritage in productive ways.
Right.
So I have publications on marketing heritage, on community-based research, as well as on archaeological techniques and the histories that we've been able to bring forward.
Right.
So it was a really interesting career here at New College, and I'm pleased that the building, the Public Archaeology Lab, is still standing.
Yeah.
And the current director, Fred Perrone, is continuing expanding on with the programs.
Yeah. Yeah, good. So you've been here for more than 30 years and seen a lot of changes. What are some of the changes with students, or just in teaching, or really just any insight you can give us?
Yeah, I think there's a whole bunch of us who wonder about, where's higher ed these days? I have 3 children. One chose not to go to college and is working.
Right.
My twins are in their senior year at University of Florida and Florida State, which tells you what you need to know about my twins. Football season is real tough, although this year not so much because they're both losing.
Yeah.
And so I do think hard about what is it that happens. Now, I'll say that I was born in Israel, but my parents came to the United States when I was a little kid. So I went through public school on Long Island, New York.
Right.
I went to the State University of New York at Binghamton. Right. Okay. Which is kind of almost stereotypical. Kind of immigrant kid. Yeah. Does well, goes to SUNY Binghamton. Right. Right. Where I felt incredibly comfortable. I was challenged, but felt like everyone wanted me to be successful. There was nothing in my background that said, "Oh, he's going to be a professor." Right. But the faculty who cared, the students who wanted to talk about the material, the ability to have sometimes very late night and inappropriate discussions about how we want the world to be, I think that is a use of college. The challenge at these really big universities is students get lost. Right. What New College offers is a chance for faculty and students to see each other. Right. Right. Not just glance at them, but to really read their work, the students' work. The students really listen to the faculty, sometimes correcting them, which is part of all of the learning process, to hone in on their thinking skills, their writing skills, their communication skills, and making a commitment that, we want the world to be better. Right. How can we use knowledge to get there? Yeah. The students of my generation, of course, are not the same. If I had a cell phone and video games, I would have been sucked into it. I have no doubt. The students over the generations have changed. But the cliche from the ancient Greeks, right? And even the ancient Mesopotamians. The upcoming generation is just not as good as the previous ones. Right. I find that abysmal. Yeah. They're different. The ways they see the world, the way they deal with information and knowledge is different. But I'm sitting in a classroom. Right. And those students are earnest
Right.
They're at the college because they want to learn.
Right.
How they express it is not how I did back a lot of decades ago.
Right.
And it's not even how it was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's still that urge to kind of grapple
Yeah.
and make sense of the world. They have so many distractions.
Right.
And the optimism of the 20th century
Right.
is no longer around.
Right.
I don't think that's their failure. I think it's the failure of my generation, not any others. So I have a lot of faith that a lot of these students will, in fact, stumble, fall, get lost, and end up having lives that are consequential for making the world better.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. So over the years, do you have a favorite class that you... I get in trouble sometimes by asking that, because some are like, no, I don't. But what do you think?
So I think one of the real joys of teaching over all those decades was the amount of autonomy we had.
Okay, right.
New College is very different from any other university.
Yeah.
There's no curriculum committee.
Right.
No one tells us what to teach. You're supposed to, and hopefully people have talked to you about it. Talk to your immediate colleagues.
Right.
We kind of hope that you're going to do something that's relevant. I've been here a long time. I can assure you I have stories about faculty who went off the deep end and did things that I kind of wondered what they were teaching and why.
And that's a long time ago.
That's a long time ago for the record. Yes, I've not heard of it since.
No.
And so when I think about the courses I enjoy, what ends up happening, my career shifted.
Right.
So from initial courses on the Middle East, both cultural anthropology courses and archaeology courses.
Right.
I've always appreciated theory.
Yeah.
And so a lot of theory courses. I started moving not away from theory, but ensuring that students had practical experiences.
Yeah.
And so much more about methodologies.
Yeah.
About what can you do, not just what you can think.
Right.
And if I had to pick a favorite course, it would be a course that I was able to create on heritage. I called it Heritage, History in the Past Today.
Okay.
And it does, as many of these 4-credit courses allow us to do,
Right.
make way more demands on the students
Right.
than typical university courses.
Right.
And so the students are able to grapple with, because I've been part of that discourse on publishing and heritage studies.
Right.
So I kind of want them to read what I've been reading.
Right.
And so it helps me stay sharp on it, but also to recognize they are heritage producers themselves.
Yes.
Right? And that heritage is all around them, so they get a sense of how they are embedded in it. And as active citizens, they can help make choices of what to preserve.
Right.
And that part of it is, yes, nothing just happens.
Right.
If you all don't care about an aspect of the past, it will just dissolve.
Right.
And that seems to really spark within them something more than... I like my other classes too.
Right.
But in terms of favorite, it seems that one sparks that sense of, oh my goodness, I am a producer of knowledge.
Yeah, right. I think it's interesting because we are 4-credit hour, and I can't speak for every professor here, of course, but I know from what you said and what I do is that extra credit hour just gives us more time for applicability and hands-on interaction, whether it be advanced research or as you're describing. Yeah, it's really important.
Yep. No, and I think, one of the things I did my graduate work at the University of Massachusetts at Amherst, and it's part of the 5 colleges. And one of those 5 colleges is Hampshire College, which, similar to New College, has no grades.
Right.
And at one point, I was teaching a course as a graduate student. I had 2 students from Hampshire College, and I got the little talk about you can give them grades, or you can give them narrative evaluations. And my goodness, that was hard.
Right.
It was just so out of sync.
Right.
But when the job opened up here to teach anthropology, and I got the job and accepted the offer, I was so excited that I didn't have to give exams.
Right.
I didn't have to give any grades.
Right.
And that I could come up with projects that were flexible and open-ended.
Right.
And with a lot of just, maybe it's good luck. I never had to worry about students cheating. Because there was no place to find the prompts I was giving them.
Right.
I was asking them things that were embedded in my courses that I was creating.
Right.
And saying, hey, try to do things.
Right.
These small classes meant I could ask them over the semester about the projects.
Yes.
And so either they were doing them or they weren't.
Right.
And usually frankly, they were so competitive among themselves.
Right, right.
They didn't want to be not doing the work.
Right.
And they could do, some of them, it was outrageous.
Right.
The sort of work just for a class. And then they ultimately produced really impressive honors theses, right? And so I think the lack of grades, the small scale of the institution has always just been a pleasure, right? And yeah, for the 4 credits is part of that.
Yes, it is.
We can just give them that flexibility to show what we're teaching them.
Right, right. So tell us a little bit. You recently received a Mellon grant
Yes.
for the work on the Ringling. Is that?
Yep.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that.
So, as I've been saying, I was teaching these courses, getting the students out in the community, and it almost became self-evident. Well, how about we just look around us? And behind us, we have College Hall.
Right.
And, it was about 10 years ago, there was a group of students who were really interested in the building. And so for an ISP, for our January term intersession independent study project, organized with an American historian at the time, a project, we went to College Hall. So it was not a long walk for any of the students. It was right on campus.
Right.
You might be surprised that even though it's the centerpiece for New College and has been since New College was created in 1960, this was the building when the college first was created, the information on it is disparate. College Archives has a few things. The University of South Florida has some digital images. Ringling Museum next door has some things. Sarasota History Center. So we started looking at it, started kind of appreciating what was there, and ended up putting together a little pamphlet
Okay, great. Yeah.
on the building, did some short videos, did some documentation of the building. And it's a fascinating history.
Right.
Charles is the less famous of the two, or actually 3 brothers in Sarasota.
Right.
The more famous is John Ringling, which is next door to us.
Right.
Because the Ringling Museum, of course, has Cartizan,
Yeah.
which is part of the state of Florida Museum now, run by Florida State University. Charles was Mr. Nice Guy,
Right.
a little quieter. Although this is a grand building,
Yeah.
it's modest in comparison
Yes,
to the
yes.
one next to it.
Yes.
And trying to make a little sense of what happened with Charles and Edith, why they chose to be here, the daughter moving next to them, what's now Cook Hall, their son Robert in what's known as Monsignor House, where the psychology program is.
Right. Right.
And just appreciating this is the archaeology, both going into the past, but also the materiality of it,
Right.
how they modify the landscape. Well, at the time, the administration had no interest. It really is.
Right.
It's sad to say.
Right.
And there were other projects that I had community support for. Right? One
Okay.
of my measures in doing community-based work, are the community members going to sustain it?
Right.
Because I'm not going to sustain everything. Right?
Right.
The kind of fiction of the anthropologist going in and being part of a community, we also leave and at one point move on. So I always want to make sure, and that's one of the things I've worked on over the years, how to ensure communities sustain what we're doing. It's not a one-shot deal. Well, the administration was not going to sustain it.
Right.
So I just kind of put it aside. The college president told me how excited he was for the Centennial coming up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I applied for the Mellon money and received it to do an event on October 28th,
Okay.
where we're going to focus on the construction of the building.
Right. Right.
So literally right now, 100 years ago,
right.
there was a Wisconsin architectural firm that came to Sarasota,
Right.
brought here by Charles and Edith Ringling,
Right.
to design and build what we now call College Hall.
Okay. Good.
So one of my tasks is to share that history,
Right. Right.
but at the same time to organize an archive so we can bring together all the materials.
Right.
It seems almost silly, right? Only 100 years ago. But memories fade.
Yeah. Of course.
Information goes away.
Right.
Papers get ruined or
Right.
lost. Even digital materials end
Yeah.
up being outdated.
Yeah.
So this is a chance not just to reflect on the first 100 years, but to think about the next 100 years.
Yes.
There's so much really good kind of discussions in historic preservation at college campuses.
Right.
students see these buildings. It becomes part of their sense of their time.
Yeah.
Hopefully only 4 years, not more, at an institution.
Right.
And that those need to be sustained. It isn't just there. And so this is part of really thinking about how College Hall fits into New College of Florida today.
Yeah.
Obviously, the administrators use it for their office space.
Right.
We have events in the building. It's shown on the website and everywhere else. But what is that we're showing?
Right.
And so as we're going to have a discussion with the leading Sarasota historian, Jeff LaHer,
Okay.
with the past president of the Sarasota Alliance for Historic Preservation and architectural historian, Laura Medali, and myself from the Public Archaeology and Heritage Interpretation, to tell the story about Charles and Edith.
Right.
Of course, we have to talk about the Ringling Circus.
Right.
And the work that John and Charles and the other brothers did.
Right.
They came here after all the success.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just really so important
Right.
in creating Sarasota.
Yeah.
The history of Sarasota goes back tens of thousands of years, the
Right.
ancestral Seminole.
Right.
1840s, we start having Anglo-American settlements. 1880s, a group of Scottish immigrants come.
Okay.
1910, Bertha Palmer comes and really kind of kicks off. But the Ringlings, Charles and John, they start building.
Right.
John focuses on the keys, St. Armand Circle, Lido Key.
Right.
Charles goes east. And it's one of the things people forget. While they know that the Ringling Causeway is named after John Ringling, Ringling Boulevard downtown, that's Charles Ringling Boulevard.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
And so we want to kind of remember Charles. We want to look at the details of the building. This administration has gotten funds to do some really important historic preservation work.
Great.
And really the non-sexy part.
Right.
They're working on the nuts and bolts. Because the college had no money and no interest, a lot of the fixtures are actually original.
Right.
Which is kind of amazing.
Right.
But for those who come in and know that, it really makes that past come alive.
Yeah.
And so over the year, we're going to try to bring out
Okay.
tours and other facets of that
Right,
history.
right.
We're going to tell the story of Charles and Edith.
Right.
And this is so much of my archaeological training, I'm used to tragedies.
Okay.
That a good archaeological record usually occurs
Right.
because something was destroyed.
Yes.
Right? The Pompeii effect
Yeah.
is the kind of jargony term for it. They start building this structure in late 1925. They move in May of 1926, so we're going to want to do something in May as well for when
Yes.
they moved in. And shortly after, the two children, who are adult children,
Right.
Hester and Robert, move into their houses. December 3rd, the day after his birthday, Charles dies in this building.
Right.
So he didn't really get to enjoy it.
Right.
But Edith stayed there until 1953.
Oh, right.
So it's really Edith Ringling's house.
Right. Right.
And to think about living here during the boom times,
Yes.
the Depression,
Right.
and then even the immediate post-World War II period when they started Sarasota growing again.
Right.
This is actually a wonderful vantage point
Right.
to tell the story of Sarasota.
Right. Right.
Because both Charles was heavily involved in creating it.
Right.
And it started growing up all around it.
Right.
So my hope as we celebrate the Centennial, the members of the campus community
Right.
will appreciate this more. And having lived in Sarasota now for really 3 decades, always amazed of how few people in the community know that it's a state facility.
Yeah.
And let's have events to give people a chance to see it.
Right,
And
right.
experience and appreciate it.
Right,
The
yes.
interest is there once people find out about it.
Yes.
So this is the Centennial Project.
Okay.
First on October 28th.
Okay.
The kind of kickoff event with the
Yep.
construction, and then a series of other events
Throughout the year.
Throughout the year.
Well, it was great to talk with you today about your long and illustrious academic career and your interest in teaching anthropology and archaeology and the local interaction that you have there, as well as the upcoming Centennial. So thanks for being with us today. And always, if you have any questions, feel free to follow up with us by email, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate this.